Good morning. This is Mr. Spears, who's deliberating on some of the aspects of the assignment. And I'm about to discuss some pivotal points which are outlined in terms of the questions that were provided for the assignment. The first question that I will address is the question of the authors and the publication of this theory that I'm going to deal with. The article is published by Gukul. It's on collaborative learning theory. It originated in 1995. Others date it to be far more than 1995. They date it back to 1972 and to 1934. Which was written by Kenneth and Brough in 1972, revived at a later, written by also Levi-Vogts in 1934, but revived by Kennedy Brough in 1972. In the modern days, then it was revived by Gokul in 1995, where he dealt a lot with the question of how the story works. Let me then go to the next question. The origins of the theory, I've already explained that it originated it's a psychological theory and communication theory. According to this one, it was rooted in the work of Levi-Vogts in 1934. It's a social development theory, and also it's a zone of proximal development, and it was rooted in the work that was done by Vogts in 1934. Right, and what are the assumptions of this theory to say? The assumption of this theory is distinct of stakeholders working together in a particular environment. However, both of these stakeholders being cooperative and also collaborative in a form of learning. And then it denotes that it differs from the traditional teaching and learning methods as a broad learning process where we have students working together in groups and teams in environment to complete a task. However, cooperative learning is a structured approach in which the lecturer or teacher is directly involved in the learning process by making each member within the group accountable for the specific task. In this case, in service learning, there is a collaboration between the three stakeholders, which is them, the student, the lecturer or an academic, where the service learning is being housed as the program, and also the stakeholder, which is the community member or the stakeholder, the third party stakeholder that deals with being an enabler of this program to happen. So in that aspect, cooperative learning is a structured approach in which the learner is in the lecturer is directly involved in the learning process by making each member within the group accountable. How do we do this in service learning approach? Theory is by being there to monitor the process, whether the students are doing exactly what was required of them to do. In other words, this takes us to the point whereby we should say the outcomes of this program should be determined by the lecturer, but in collaboration as to how the program should be piloted with the community stakeholder. This is what this assumption is all about. Second to that, what are the principles on which this theory is based on? I will just touch on that. The principle of collaborative theory is each stakeholder has equal chance of deliberative or of giving their own inputs. Others will come in the form of the experience that the student will gain. The lecture will provide the basis of a theory, and then the community stakeholder will provide a platform or enabling platform whereby you also gain sort of what you call an insight in the scientific work that the student will be doing, and the feedback which will assist the community stakeholder to be able to solve the problems that are based on the community that this service learning program is directed to. It also has an assumption of saying this theory is more abstract on applying problem-based learning. The problem will come out with the community. It is the community that brings out the problem, and the problem could be solved by the students with the help of the information that they get from the lecturer as an academic in a form of a theory which they should practice in order to give answers to the problem that are being given by the stakeholder, which is the community. What new explanation? This theory is provides what we call experiential exposure that normally doesn't happen to other what you call theories, and also it deals with the issue of the knowledge is not per se owned by one entity, but it is produced rather in a collaborative manner. So it is shared experience that results into a knowledge production in this theory. So that's the take in terms of a new explanation. The new explanation is about how the knowledge is being packaged in this theory. What limitations this theory have? The limitation that this theory have is it limits individuals because it's a theory that is broadly made for groups of people, and it accommodates more of groups rather than individuals. That's a limitation of it, but however, the gaps that can be found in this theory could be the knowledge per se is okay. It's not. I wouldn't say maybe it's more of a collaborative in terms of the final reflection of the work per se, but I would say rather each stakeholder contributes in a different way that it could. A typical example, as I said, the other stakeholder will come with an experience, and the other stakeholder will come with the theoretical part, and the final refined information that comes out. It's a shared information, but it's in a different. What are the implications of this theory per se? The implications of this theory per se, it is a most helpful theory in collaborative learning. It enhances the assessment and also it encourages students to take responsibility for their participation in teamwork, and it helps them to understand the nature of collaboration as opposed to competition. They're not competing, but they're playing their role in a certain way. An assessment is vital to evaluate the group productivity and how well individuals work together as effective members of the group, and also in collaborative with others. And it also helps the students to be more exposed to the real world of work and try to find a way of dealing with what you call the current stereotypes that were pre-existing before a student could do the work. So these are the implications of these theories, and it also gives an opportunity to people at which in previous what you call undemocratic principled years were not given an opportunity to express their views, and also their views being incorporated as a valuable knowledge in the class of academia. I'm talking about the community per se. They have been used as an object of extraction of information rather than to be what you call knowledge sharers with those who are academic in that discourse. I think that sums it up for my presentation.